and you're getting excited for the holiday season. Can't believe we're at the end of November already, and Thanksgiving's late this year. So we don't have a lot of time to bounce back right before Christmas. I know we're going to be talking about some really good things before the holidays too, from a nutrition perspective. But for today, we have a really exciting webinar on fact versus fad. We have mindful eating and intermittent fasting. We're not necessarily pairing them against each other. It's more of a factual presentation, and then just so that you all have the information to make informed decisions yourself. But for those of you that don't know me, my name is Ale Zozos. I'm EatLove's lead dietitian, and I host our monthly nutrition chats. So this is a low stress way to come learn about nutrition topics that interest you. And I do believe most of these are on the YouFit channel for YouTube as well. So you can always watch a topic if you didn't get to it or if you're interested in learning more. But I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you all today. Entire screen. Here we go. And before we dive in, I always like to do a poll just on who our audience is made up of. We always have a really strong audience for our webinars, but just wanted to know what type of YouFit membership you have. We do these for prospective members too. So if you're just learning about the gym and you want to join the club, these webinars are open to you as well. Basic, premium, and premium plus members, because usually at the end of these talks, I spend 5 to 10 minutes on a nutrition benefit that is only available to the premium plus membership. So we tie everything back to nutrition always. I think it's 80% of any type of goal or lifestyle or condition that we want to manage. And that is an actual benefit to all the Premium Plus memberships. So if that's interesting to you and you want to upgrade to it or join at that level, you can always talk to your home gym about upgrading. But first, let's do what's on our current menu, and that is fasting versus mindful eating, telling fact from fad. So a couple of things that we are going to review today are analyzing the benefits and drawbacks of fasting and eating in a mindful way, if there are any for either of these, and then challenge common misconceptions about their effectiveness. We always have to do that from a scientific perspective, and then create a balanced science-based nutrition plan for sustainable and healthy weight loss. All right, so what is fasting? I'm just curious if anyone listening today has heard of this, I'll call it a trend, fad, whatever you want to call it, about fasting. Have you done it yourself? What's your experience been? I'm just curious to hear from the audience if you have any insights to share. But fasting is a practice that is voluntarily abstaining from food for a specific period. Potential benefits may support metabolic health. They can simplify eating schedules if we're not eating as often or as frequently, and then it shows promise for short-term calorie reduction. So we'll talk a little bit about each of these in a bit more information, but some considerations that we want to keep in mind is that they may not address long-term habits or emotional eating. They require careful planning to avoid nutrient gaps, which I know many that have done intermittent fasting, this is probably not the top of your concern, the planning piece and avoiding nutrient gaps. It's like, it's an eating window, it's a food rule, I can follow it, boom, I'm done, without much consideration after that, which is not a great option to start. And of course, it's not suited for everyone. So let's talk a little bit about the underlying piece of this. So shows support for short-term calorie reduction. Great, this just means we're eating less. We have a shortened window, an eating window of like 11 to 6 or 9 to 7, whatever that eating window is for most people. Usually you're ignoring your hunger and satiety cues to get into a window. There is no magic window. I hate to say it, but 7 o'clock after that time, our bodies don't stop working. You're still burning calories up until you go to sleep and when you are sleeping. So picking a window to eat at a specific time is not going to really address the long-term effects of like, when should I eat my meals? Your body is going to tell you that. So when we talk about mindful eating, it'll make a little bit more sense when we talk about just understanding the differences between the food rule side, which is, in a way fasting can be, versus let our bodies tell us when we're hungry. So to get into this window, we are ignoring a lot of things that our body needs to tell us to make us feel most in control of our choices and to feel connected to our choices. And eating is one of those ways. So what I want to point out here is this fasting piece. What is fasting? Fasting is voluntary abstaining from food for a specific period. We do that when we sleep. We are fasting when we sleep. We are fasting in between our meals, potentially. But the biggest part of our fast is going to come from after dinner, the last thing we eat or drink before we go to sleep, to the first thing we eat or drink the very next day. So we are already naturally doing this. We are already putting ourselves in a calorie deficit by doing so, because we are just eating less. We're not eating 24/7. So I want you all to think about it that way. Our bodies are already fasting. So when we talk about not addressing long-term habits or even emotional eating, if that's something that we're struggling with, long-term habits could be that you aren't eating 3 full meals a day and you suppress those hunger and satiety cues. So you're not getting these nutrients. You're not filling these nutrient gaps. So you're not really quite sure if you are doing much for your health, rather than just shrinking your window and eating less. And I can tell you, if you've been doing intermittent fasting or fasting of any kind for an extended period of time and you're no longer seeing results, that's a very big reason as to why. So I challenge all of you, if you've considered this or tried it in the past, think about it from the fact that we are already fasting for 8 to 12 hours a day. Most of us are, because we are sleeping during that time, or when we finish our meal in the end of the day and then get breakfast by, it can easily be 12 hours. Is to think about it that way. Yes, it may be easier. It doesn't necessarily require a whole lot of thinking outside of that window, like, oh, I can't eat after this time. But is it really going to address the long-term solution? So think about it from those perspectives. We can get these benefits. We can get all 3 of these by letting our bodies have a natural fast during the time we sleep. We don't have to actually engage in a fasting with an eating window to do so. So what is mindful eating? So mindful eating is the complete opposite. It is paying attention. It involves full attention to our eating experience. This includes tapping into our hunger and satiety cues, the taste of our food, how full we are, why it matters. So it encourages deeper awareness of body signals, reducing reliance on external diet rules. Fasting is a food rule. If I can't eat before 10 a.m., but I'm starving, I'm neglecting what my body is telling me. I'm suppressing that hunger satiety cue. I may not feel that after a week or so because I didn't listen to what my body was telling me. So it relies us to be more in tune with that. And that can be a scary place to be. But I promise you all, once you tap into that awareness, you are naturally going to eat what feels right in the moment. And it's not a quick switch. It's not something that we can turn on tomorrow, but start paying attention to your hunger and satiety cues. They mean something when our body is telling us those things. And to not have to rely on external diet rules or rigidity like that really is a freeing experience. It enhances, of course, the enjoyment of our meals. It promotes satisfaction without overeating. And it builds lifelong habits for healthier food and relationships. So some scientific highlights with this one are associated with reduced binge eating and emotional eating, and helps manage weight without restrictive patterns. There is a lot of framework that needs to go into this one, though, for us to feel comfortable in this type of state. So we'll get to that in a minute, but let's talk about these myths. So fasting misconceptions. Fasting is a one-size-fits-all solution. Absolutely not. Individuals are going to vary significantly. I don't even recall like the fasting patterns anymore. There was like something to one. I don't even remember what they were. But again, if we're picking eating windows that have nothing to do with the way that our body runs and our circadian habits of when we want food, and like, oh, it's 10 to 7. I promise you, there is no difference between a 9 to 6 or a 10 to 7 window. The windows are food rules. They're made up in that sense for us to feel like we are boxed into this, which we do not have to be. And that's why, because our lifestyles are different. We feel hunger at different times. We cannot say that we're going to restrict our food from a certain time to a certain time. It will vary significantly. And it's an easy fix for weight loss is another common misconception. So true results require consistent effort and healthy diets, physical activity, you name it. You may have a short-term weight loss, but again, it's from a shrinking eating window, meaning you're just eating less. It's a calorie deficit. At the end of the day, it is calories in, calories out. So think about it. The next time this comes up in conversations or you're thinking about doing it, is if you are ignoring our hunger and satiety cues to stay within those rules of our eating time, can absolutely lose weight because we're eating less. But is there a better way to approach that where we don't feel so constricted? And let's look at some common misconceptions for mindful eating. It's too slow to work for weight loss is some things that I've heard in the past. So we want to focus on sustainable changes that last, not necessarily a quick fix. So learning and understanding mindful eating may take a bit more time than just tomorrow saying I have a food rule and I'm going to stick to it. Absolutely. That is absolutely a fact. But we want that long-term change. We want to focus on those lifestyle behaviors. We want to focus on why we are hungry outside of certain times. Is it a mix of our macros aren't balanced, our plates aren't balanced? I'm not eating enough protein, I'm not getting enough fiber, I'm not getting enough complex carbohydrates even. So a lot of those things can be reasons why we need to feel like we need to embark on a very drastic measure for a quick fad or a weight loss program. Another one is mindful eating doesn't need structure. Of course, we would love this. I mean, I don't know what I'm going to eat for lunch today or dinner today. I know I have chicken in the fridge. I have to cook it. Don't know what style I'm cooking it. Don't know what side I'm going to have with it quite yet. But we do need to have some sort of structure when it comes to any of these, whether you're doing fasting, whether you're doing mindful eating, whether you're just planning your meals on a regular basis. So awareness is supporting that thoughtful and planning for balance of nutrition 24/7. So any type of lifestyle change when it comes to nutrition is going to require some sort of plan, at least at the beginning, so that you can get a framework and you can stick to that framework as consistently as possible. And that's really where you're going to see the change. And then some benefits of mindful eating. Emotional well-being. It's going to reduce stress associated with the dieting. I know I've gone through this many years prior of having the crutch of these food rules, not even fasting related, but other diets, other trends, other fads that have popped up in the media, basically saying that this is how you're going to get to XYZ or your goal faster. It's extremely stressful. Wearing on that every single day, 24/7 about you're constantly thinking about food and not in the best light. So reduced stress associated with dieting because there really are no rules. You're going to eat to what feels good. You're going to eat to your hunger and satiety. You're going to have everything moderately and mindfully so that you don't overeat one specific thing. It's going to have long-term success. So developing these healthy habits, sustain those healthy choices where you don't really have to think about it all the time anymore. It's going to be just ingrained into the way that you're practicing how you make your meals, how you plan for your meals, how you stop before you hit your fullness, before you overeat. That is all part of mindful eating. And it's flexible, so it can work across diverse dietary patterns, lifestyles, cultural preferences, you name it. There's no rules with it. That's the best piece. There's no, I can't eat this because I have this, or I can't eat this because I want to do this. There's a way to make it fit, but thinking, having the foresight to think about it ahead of time and put it into practice. And then some research insights. Studies show mindful eatings are more likely to maintain weight loss over time and experience greater satisfaction with their food choices. So weight management goals aside, the latter piece of this is just bringing the joy and the experience back to your food choices and your meals and making food fun again. I mean, that's, it's a universal experience. We connect with our family and friends and even ourselves just to understand how our food got to our plate, to honor that in many ways. So that satisfaction is nowhere to be found when we have very strict dieting rules. And then, of course, the weight loss piece, if that is something that you are managing or looking or to have goals of weight loss for the future or currently, eating mindfully is going to allow you all things without restriction, and you're going to learn how to have them in a balanced way. So it's going to be a really freeing experience once you hit that sweet spot on being able to look into that balance. So when we look at this building a balanced nutrition plan, so key elements of your mindful eating plan, there's 4 things that I want to bring awareness to. We've touched on most of these already, but awareness, regularly assessing your hunger and fullness cues. I talk about a scale all the time. It's a scale from 1 to 10. 1 being I'm extremely hungry, I'm going to pass out. 10 being I'm so full, I need to lie down, I am uncomfortable. Like you're waiting for the hours until your body is starting to digest your food so that you can feel comfortable again. So assessing your hunger and fullness cues is you want to live on that scale on a 3 to 7. A 3 to 7 would be a normal range for that scale. We don't want to ever be on the outliers. We don't have to wait until we're going to pass out from hunger. We don't need to stuff ourselves and so that we're so uncomfortable we can't wait for hours from now from when we feel normal again. So living within that 3 to 7 range is going to allow us to experience hunger. It's going to allow us to eat aware and mindfully, and it's going to allow us to stop whenever we're full. And living in that range is going to bring the maximum result and awareness to the way that we're eating our food. So try that at your next meal. If you haven't had lunch yet, or try it at dinner, ask yourself on the scale what you are before your meal. Ask yourself halfway through your meal where you are, and then ask yourself after your meal what number you are on that scale, and see if you can get yourself from those outliers into that middle target, that 3 to 7 range, and see if that makes a difference with the foods that you're choosing, how you're experiencing your food, and just the balance of your plate overall. Intention is the second one. So choose foods that align with both health goals and personal enjoyment. So this is one of the greatest things about mindful eating, is that there are no rules. I can have a Reese cup after lunch as a dessert. I frequently do that, and it's totally fine, because that's my sweet treat. I look forward to it. I really am present with it. And once I have it, I feel satiated. If you feel like you're doing that a lot, it could be just getting used to this cycle of trusting yourself, but also looking at your meals to make sure that you are getting enough nutrients, you're filling those nutrient gaps. We don't want to rely on one specific food component, but the more we get complex carbohydrates, which has a lot of fiber, the more we get a balanced amount of protein and healthy fats in our diets, we are going to start to feel satiated without having to turn to the things in our past, either that we did emotionally or that we need like a quick jolt of sugar or something like that. But we're going to feel a better balance. So balance is number 3. So focusing on those nutrient-dense foods to nourish your body while satisfying your taste preferences. And then reflect often. Start early and reflect often when it comes to this process. Take notes in a journal. There's a place to do that in the EatLove app as well. But evaluate how you're doing, feelings, adjusting your strategies. You can start this on tomorrow, and after breakfast, you're like, I'm still hungry. And maybe it's because it's your first breakfast in weeks, and it's because you might have suppressed your hunger and satiety cues. And that's normal to feel hungry when you start introducing food back into your plan. Your body is actually saying, thank you. Like, I would like more of that. So suppressing ways that you want to unlearn some of those suppressed habits. Like, it is very normal to feel hungry. It's very normal to feel full. And we have to be in tune with those cues to really master this plan of mindful eating. And then integrating fasting thoughtfully. I didn't put this as part of the nutrition plan, but for those of you that are interested, mindful eating can help guide fasting to ensure that you're getting physical and emotional needs are met with your food. And like I said, we're all fasting already when it comes to sleep. So looking at when we are eating our first meal and when we are eating our very last meal can play into that. Maybe we're eating dinner too late and it's affecting our sleep, and we're not sleeping well, and therefore we're hungrier. And then we feel, when we're eating outside of a window and we're just feeling like we're not in control of our choices. Maybe we eat a little bit earlier. Maybe, could it be just that we wrap up an hour or two earlier before we do currently? So there's a lot of things that can take place before we look at something else that's just going to restrict our calorie window even further, because we can do that naturally with a lot of other more supportive interventions. So the main takeaways is that both approaches are going to offer valuable tools for health. But sustainable habits are going to depend on understanding your personal needs. What's worked well? What can you rely on? If you are feeling that your relationship with food isn't the greatest, I encourage you to give mindful eating a try. I think it's going to create a foundation for that better relationship, lifelong well-being. And the success is really going to come from tailoring those approaches for your individual goals. So practice mindful eating to build a healthier relationship with food and explore more support through UFit's in-house nutrition solution. And that is EatLove, if it's something that you're interested in. So all of your Premium Plus members, everyone watching, so we do have one that's selected yes for Premium Plus. You actually have access to EatLove already. And I wanted to show you a little bit about just a quick intro on the platform. It's personalized nutrition guidance 24/7 for every eating occasion. So it's going to give you recommendations for restaurants, recipes that you can make at home, and a couple others. based on your nutrition profile. So what is your goal? What are you looking to achieve? This is a general healthy diet that I have selected over here, and it's giving me my breakdown of my macros, what other nutrients that I want to stay within. I don't want to exceed certain numbers of saturated fat or sodium. So a lot of, and added sugar even, and I'm also getting minimums of fruits and vegetables. So every single day I meet this criteria without fail through the recommendations through EatLove. So for 97% of all eating patterns and conditions, if you're eating for prediabetes, weight loss, GLP-1s is something that we presented on earlier this year, or anti-inflammatory, there is something in there for you. We have tons of goals and templates that you can choose from to get started. And every single meal recommendation is going to be guided and almost in a way medically tailored for all of these numbers over here, as well as your preferences, your skill level, how much time you have to make food, your family size, things that you like to enjoy, cuisine styles, that sort of thing. We're fully integrated with grocery. You can log your food. And of course, we have our monthly webinars and our Facebook group. So how can we use EatLove for mindful eating? So we talk about reflection, and we talk about keeping notes. And there is a section in the notes in the daily log piece to take notes. So keeping notes on how you feel pre, during, post meals, like we talked about a little bit earlier. Planning to map out your future meals. This is a meal planner. So if you want to eat something different for dinner, you can hit swap and you have a whole bunch of options of how you want to swap into something else. It can be a restaurant meal from Chipotle. It can be another type of dinner using an ingredient that you haven't used yet in your fridge. But it's allowing you to really maximize that piece. The recipe search is going to allow you to search for something that you're really craving. What do you really want to eat today? Well, I really want a dish that has lentils in it, lentils and broccoli. I'm, craving lentils and broccoli, or whatever you're craving. You can type it in the keyword search, and there's nearly 8,000 recipes in there to choose from, and you can pop that right into your planner. It's the you can customize your recipes for flexibility and freedom. If you don't want lentils, but you have brown rice, or you have beans that you want to use instead, it's another complex carbohydrate, easy swap that you can plug in there. And then setting gentle nutrition reminders, like increasing goals for fiber, getting more whole foods versus macronutrients. Macros, I think counting macros had its moment for sure, but a lot of us are going to benefit from just getting more whole foods in our diet, getting more fiber in our diet. So if we do our daily intake and we find out that we're low in fiber, low in fruits and vegetables, we can say, okay, I'm going to get at least 5 more grams of fiber tomorrow. And EatLove's going to help you be able to set those goals and those targets. So I do want to briefly show you what that looks like in real time with the little bit of time we have left today. So you would complete onboarding. You get a really great option to choose different nutrition categories and targets. And let's see if we can see that in here. Just want to show you the list of plans. Okay, so anything you can think of would be under here. So general healthy diet, weight loss, high cholesterol, prediabetes, diabetes, whatever you have a goal of managing or preventing, we definitely have it in the platform for you. Lots of women's health as well, fertility, pregnancy, lactation, PCOS. So in here is your meal feed. We do have the app that you can engage with once you create your profile. And if I don't want to eat this snack for lunch, that is totally fine. I have an option to choose from a smart choice that gives me things that are nutriently comparable to what was in my plate. I have thousands of options that I could opt into, even for dinner tonight. If I wanted to choose a different dinner, I can choose in here, and I can load more smart choices to get anything. And I can even use the keyword up here if I want to find a salmon dish. Smart choice salmon dish that I can replace for this dinner. I have a lot of options. And then another really great swap opportunity is the restaurant meals. And this is going to be based on your geolocation. So where you are in the world. If I wanted to go to Starbucks for dinner, what can I eat at Starbucks for dinner? I have a whole list of things that I can choose from. That's going to help me do this. I think my internet is slowly backing out. Can you guys hear me okay? I see like a little rotating circle in here. Yes, thank you, Roxanne. I'll get to your question in a second too. Hopefully I don't get kicked out on the Wi-Fi side. So we're wrapping up here. So you can choose a smart option, schedule that right into your meal feed. I cannot hear you, Roxanne. No, it's a one-way. Thank you, Paula. Perfect. All right. So then when you're ready, you can actually choose meals to add to your grocery cart and get your grocery list. You can check off items you already have, which is a really great option. You can also add a la carte things, so anything, and then you can also just buy online. So while you're cooling down at the gym, walking on the treadmill, and you want to pick up your groceries on the way home, you can do that. Sending your groceries off to Instacart, Walmart, Amazon Fresh, and pickup, delivery even. I do want to show you the recipe search. So this is a really great option if you're in the mood for, like, what did I say, lentils? I want a lentil-based dish. I have 164 options I can choose from, so lots of really good things in here, and I can choose any one of these and schedule it right into my meal planner. All right, then here's the daily log piece where you can log your food quickly by saying, I ate this. And also the numbers will deduct at the total at the top. And then additionally, if you didn't eat something, you can just type in what you ate through our foods database. You can barcode scan it. And you can also add your notes in here to help with your activities with mindful eating. Pre-snack was a 3 on scale, after was 5. Things like that can really help put into perspective your cadence and the way that you are getting your meals. You can track your weight, your water, a whole bunch of things, and you can even export your nutrition analysis report, which is going to give you a lot more detail on all of these numbers. This is just a subset, but we have the entire nutrition facts label. If that is speaking to you and you want to review how you're doing with everything, that would appear on that label. Cool. Yes, Roxanne, EatLove is only available for Premium Plus. I believe it's $10 more than the Premium membership. I checked with your home gym on that. It's a really great tool to plan, schedule, grocery shop, do all those things. And it's the same technology that prominent healthcare systems in the country are using with their patients. So you get the ability and added bonus to do that through YouFit, which I think is a really cool option as well. Cool. All right. So for Roxanne's questions, do I consider protein shakes to be a healthy option? Great question. Protein shakes, I think, are a great supplement to an already well-balanced diet. If you are getting your protein requirements, there's no need for protein shakes. If you have a hard time getting to your protein requirements, I would look at what your components look like in your meals to not be meeting those. The average person needs 0.8 grams per kilogram a day for protein to maintain your current status. So that is our weights currently, because they teach dietitians everything in like the metric system, where you're going to divide your weight by 2.2 to get your kilograms. And then you're going to multiply that number by 0.8. And that is the number of protein on a minimum daily basis that you should be getting. So a lot of us don't actually require these protein shakes. They're great to have in a pinch as a supplement. I would not rely on it every single day, because if we are relying on it every single day, then there's probably room that we can add more protein to certain dishes that we have somewhere in the grand scheme of things. I like doing whole food protein shakes. So I like silken tofu mixed with fruits, vegetables, peanut butter, cocoa, whatever you want to throw in there. But I like doing a lot of whole food protein shakes that way. But like I said, there's nothing inherently wrong with protein shakes if they help you meet your protein goals. But I would look at your food first to see how well you're doing and if you can make any changes and adjustments there to get to your protein targets. Awesome. Did we have any other questions for today? Fantastic. If you do have any questions on the EatLove side, you can feel free to email support@eatlove.is for any more information. And then if you're interested in upgrading to EatLove, feel free to contact your home gym to learn more about it. The team is really great and they know a lot about it. So feel free to reach out if you have any questions. Thank you, Paula. Thank you, Roxanne. Have a great rest of your week and a great holiday. If I don't see you before then, bye.